Sonic the Hedgehog 4. A game beloved so dearly by its fans, so much they forget about its existence, just so they can continually relive the experience of first playing this excellent game again and again. I mean, even Sonic Mania is aware of how much this game means to the fanbase. They didn't even put it on the intro cinematic. As you all know, I absolutely adore every ounce of the first episode. One thing I touched on but didn't really go too in depth with when reviewing the game was its development and how this really all came about. So once again, let us go back into the grand archives and discover how Sonic the Hedgehog 4 killed nostalgia. Our tale begins in the ripe year of 2009, when the game was first conceived, as described by Sonic 4 lead producer, the big T-Dog himself, Takashi Iizuka. Now, the outlook on Sonic was a lot different, so while the decisions made when developing the quadruple duo are laughable in retrospect, but at the time they were trying to listen to the fans, since context is needed. Since really Sonic Adventure, but especially when Sonic went mainline multi-platform with Sonic Heroes, there started to be a divide or a feeling of alienation from the older fans who grew up and enjoyed the 2D Genesis formula compared to the younger fans and their admiration for the 3D games of Sonic Adventure onwards.
Oh, yes! Oh, yeah!
Now, of course, there were still new 2D games getting released in the form of the Advance and Rush series and even ports of the classics. But ports can only go so far, and these new 2D games weren't really successors to the Genesis quadrilogy in the same way, say, Sonic Mania is. Anyways, like many things in the series, this of course reached ahead with the critically acclaimed Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, where after this quad flop, the olden fans who were still keeping tabs on the series were tired of these extreme deviations from the pre-established formula, with weird yet very awesome NRA commercial spin-offs, half-baked team mechanics, RNG treasure hunting, and non-emphasis on Sonic in a Sonic the Hedgehog game. After this, SEGA would then release the crazy yet controversial Sonic Unleashed, which split the game in half with Sonic and the Werehog, also unintentionally being perfectly symbolic for the divide between the fanbase, one younger half enjoying the newer games and the latter half, being the older guys, feeling like the developers completely abandoned the foundation of what made the series great. And honestly, it's hard for me to really blame the critics and reviewers at the time for dogpiling on this game.
Sonic was never good.
Okay, excluding those guys, but seriously. Although people say that the majority of these complaints came from non-Sonic fans, I'd honestly disagree. I can definitely see from the perspective of an old fan who grew up with and mainly played the Genesis games, how do you go from this to this? Funnily enough, one of the big reasons that Unleashed Day stages were praised as much as they were was the inclusion of the quote-unquote throwback 2D sections. Anyways, at this time, the Sonic brand was pretty much at rock bottom, and Iizuka would be overseeing the current development on the next mainline 3D Sonic game, Sonic Colors, and the new portable smartphone spin-off game, both expected to release in the oncoming year. While as Iizuka put it, the project originally was conceived in January of 2009, it wouldn't begin active development until 4 months later. Nothing official would be stated about this smartphone game until September 8th, where SEGA would tease a brand new 2D adventure featuring HD graphics, and as said by SEGA Associate Brand Manager Kevin Bowlow, it was an appeal to old school Sonic fans who have long asked to see Sonic return to a more 2D style of gameplay, called Project Needlemouse. Needlemouse being a reference to Sonic's original name/design, and of course a logo also accompanying that. Fans were salivating for more details on this Project Needlemouse, and it wouldn't be until January 11th, 2010, where one of the weirdest marketing tactics in video game history would be unveiled. SEGA of America would kick off the Project Needlemouse marketing campaign, starting with the reveal for a possible list of characters that could appear in the new Needlemouse game, and challenged fans to answer trivia about the old school Sonic games spanning the whole week. The trivia consisted of questions like, how many emeralds were in Sonic 1? Who designed Sonic? What do Sonic's feet smell like? Are Tails and Sonic in a row? Who wrote these? If SEGA's daily correct answer and bonus point thresholds were met, names would be removed from the list. They even promised a special surprise at the end of the week for the bonus points. People were scrambling to see if they could not only get the trivia right, but also predict the final appearing characters. First, Chip and Charmy were taken out back. Then day 2 rolled around, and Vector and Takal. Then day 3 with Amy and Shade being knocked off the list. Till finally, Friday, January 15th, where sadly, Big and Froggy were also knocked off. Oh yeah, Shadow too, I guess. Ending in the reveal of the Blue Mouse of Needles himself as the sole playable character. With the fans exceeding the bonus points, SEGA of America and Europe released special surprises in the form of their multiple concept art pieces, all emulating the same stylistic designs of the Genesis games Badniks. Wait, not that one. All done by Project Needlemouse's art director, Yuji Uwakawa. Now, in retrospect, this seems like a really backwards marketing tactic. You're advertising less potential content in your game? But remember what we discussed before. A general section of the older fans and game journalists who had voices in discussion on the internet did not want all these quote-unquote gimmicky playable characters. So the strategy here was to show that they were listening to the fans and absolving themselves of what seemed as the hindrances of Sonic at the time. Notably though, Tails and Knuckles were not on the list, leading to speculation that they may be in the game. Comments from back then were actually applauding this decision or making fun of the extended cast. It may have seemed weird now, but it was in fact building hype for the game. Fans would continue speculating as the week of festivities died down and the rumors began to emerge, leading to a 1UP article claiming this Project Needlemouse was the fabled Sonic 4. Fast forwarding to January 22nd, a Dutch fan site called SEGA Online received a post from an anonymous insider source saying a bunch of now confirmed details about the project, like the game was in fact called Sonic 4, it featured 7 Chaos Emeralds with the return of the Genesis zone and act structure, with even the first and last zone being leaked with Splash Hill Zone and an Egg Station zone. SEGA, meanwhile, would continue holding trivia events in the form of the Needlemouse Challenge Part 2, asking the fans to submit their own drawings of Badniks in exchange for more concept art drops, which they got over 300 pieces submitted in 48 hours, tripling the original threshold. This would lead to the next week, dubbed Hedgehog Week, and more specifically Hedgehog Day, aka Groundhog Day, which is actually a nod to Sonic 3's original release date. Anyways, SEGA would reveal throughout this week new concept art, music, and prizes, like a Takashi Iizuka signed copy of Sonic 3, which is pretty cool if I do say so myself. That being said though, SEGA said that the big surprise would be on the fateful day of February 4th, 2010. Project Needlemouse, officially titled Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1, would have its reveal on Gamespot in a 48-second teaser trailer. The game prided itself on being a continuation to Sega's darling child, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which sounds amazing till we realize it wasn't even being developed in-house, and the title also implied an episodic nature. Speaking of it not being developed in-house, the lovely company, Dimps, was leading the majority of the project with only 2 members of Sonic Team remaining from the Genesis era, in the form of Takashi Iizuka, who was really just overseeing the game due to his focus mainly being on colors, and composer Jun Senoue. It was not only marketed as a nostalgic throwback, but also as a continuation of the GMD, Genesis Mega Drive Experience, trademark. Even bringing back the music styles that resonated with those 16-bit games and omitting voice acting for the purest of pure experiences, since that's what made the 16-bit games good, right? For real though, a little neat tidbit about the music was that when Senoue was creating the soundtrack, he didn't use any FM sound tapes and even tried to find an old Genesis development kit to further emulate that classic game feel. Although Senoue loved Splash Hill, Episode 1 director Toshiyuki Nagahara hated it and wanted it replaced. Now, I don't blame him since this gets really grating, but I recommend checking out the instrumental version Senoue did for the Sonic YouTube channel, as it's legit 10 out of 10. Now, when leading up to the release of a game, one general red flag for me to tell if a game is going to be absolute shit is the use of an accursed word that Iizuka just could not help himself from dropping. The word nostalgia. Now, as everyone's favorite armchair developer with no game development or marketing experience whatsoever, let me explain to you. When a game is built around nostalgia, it almost always means that the developers ran out of ideas or had no confidence in where to take the new entry. Now, I say almost, as there are, of course, always a few outliers that actually are good. Like, you know, Bomberman Act Zero, Sonic Mania, Yick, New Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and, of course, Sonic Generations. Wait, one of these shouldn't be here. Ah, okay, much better. Another iconic Sonic 4 quote Iizuka had when describing the game was that they wanted to tap into the nostalgia factor when reviving the old zones. Speaking of being faithful to the Genesis games, remember back in the day when you'd play Sonic 2 and you'd just homing attack or follow through onto a spring? I certainly do. The team decided to add this as they wanted to add the excitement of performing continuous attacks. Ah, that makes sense. Later in the month, the first fatal flaw Sonic 4 would be unveiled. A build of the game was uploaded to the Xbox Live Arcade's PartnerNET service, and all hell would break loose. For those not in the know, PartnerNET was a service that allowed developers to upload their games early for testing purposes and all that last-minute double-checking. Well, in classic SEGA fashion, when this was uploaded, the build leaked onto the internet. Now at first it wasn't too bad, with just some screenshots of the game, like the early level select, music, and some smaller stuff being spread. But then it got concerning, with gameplay footage, and then a whole ass playthrough of the game. To say it lightly, people were pissed when the veil was lifted, showing how little effort was put into the game, with very poor animations, shitty level design, and unintuitive gimmicks. And don't even get me started on the Sonic model. Oh, wait, wrong year. Wait a second. That Sonic model, doesn't that look familiar to you? That's right. Sonic 4 Episode 1 originally was sharing the same model as Sonic Rush. Now don't get me wrong, I love the Sonic Rush model too, but it started to get theorized that it was running on a modified version of Dimps' Sonic Rush engine, which essentially means the concept of physics was a non-existent part of the gameplay due to the boost mechanic not being in this. Oh, and I should probably mention, remember how I was talking about this unannounced mobile game Sonic Team was making? Well, what if I told you Sonic 4 was that mobile game? Am I referring to the Sonic 4 mobile ports? No. Atop the pure abundant passion that SEGA had for this with, you know, them completely outsourcing it to Dimps, Sonic 4 was originally a separate low-budget mobile game called Sonic the Portable that was made to get Sonic's gloves in the booming new mobile game market. Therefore, to get attention on the product, the name Sonic 4 was slapped onto it to suck up some of those sweet, sweet nostalgia bucks. Now you may be like, Eldarin, that's not true. Even SEGA of America brand manager Kevin Bowlow said that the game was always intended to be called Sonic 4. It just made sense for them to do Sonic 4. Well, I raise you this. In the second level of Casino Street, if we zoom in to this sign here, it seems this blurred out sign says Sonic the Portable. Almost like this was the original name of the game and they were just too fucking lazy to remove it. That would also be the reason the native version of this game, the mobile port, has two exclusive Act 2s in Casino Street and Lost Labyrinth that rely solely on the gyroscopic functions of a mobile device like an Android. And while there is no other sources backing this up, according to this article by Kurt Kalata, it was SEGA of America who retitled the game and made it to a multi-platform release. Anyways, back to the PartnerNET debacle. The website would be down for the night, and they would try to clean up the mess, but the damage was already done. The build was oh so similar to the complete version, just with some smaller differences like Sonic's Play-Doh model not looking as glossy and as shitty, Casino Street 2 having a completely different music track, and the infamous minecart level. In Lost Labyrinth Act 2, the build featured an extended version of the level where Sonic was in the most poorly controlling minecart ever created, but for the entire level. The final build still features this slog, but it is cut down quite a bit. While the PartnerNET build was the major leak, the game would actually leak twice more around the same time frame in the form of the Sony Q&A network and the Japanese WiiWare prototypes. Not much is different in them, but they'll be in the description if interested. Anyways, due to the overwhelmingly positive reactions to the near completed build of the game, news on Sonic 4 would once again go silent. Until of course May 20th, where SEGA announced that they delay the game until an unspecified date later in 2010, but to give credit where credit is due, this was in order to allow various fan requests to be implemented, like the concept of physics. E3 2010 would proceed to roll around, where new and improved gameplay would be shown off, which seemed to bear the fruits of the delay, with better physics and SEGA claiming, while not present in the current footage, the other requests were still being worked on. As release grew nearer, SEGA would do a final fan contest for Sonic 4. This time, fans from the UK and the US would make videos showing their love for the Sonic series, and they'd be voted on. Whoever won would go to Tokyo to see the finished version of Episode 1. The contest went on from June to July of 2010, until the winners were chosen by Sonic Team and SEGA on August 2nd. The winners were then flown out to see the new game, where they were never heard from again. The day of reckoning would come on October 7th. To praise? Game journalists giving it 7 and 8 out of 10s, generally, with even a 10 out of 10 in there. Although Sonic fans saw right through the bullshit and were not happy with the final results. Which of course leads to its sequel. The long-awaited Sonic 4 Episode 2 was confirmed to be in production in February of 2011. Now, Episode 2's development was a lot tamer to Episode 1's, so if it seems like I'm skipping anything, it's just there was a lot of dead space between major happenings. Anyways, with the sequel to the smash hit, they really wanted to innovate and expand upon the prior formula, with bold claims like, "We want to introduce new zones with things you haven't seen." Atop this, it seems the ideas for Episode 2, like the inclusion of Tails, were planned while developing the first episode. Surely these inclusions weren't just omitted to milk the franchise on nostalgia. Although Episode 1 was pretty divisive, due to its 1 million copy commercial success, it seemed that the game was going to be on a much bigger budget. That being said though, Sonic Team wanted to keep the whole episodic release mantra going, so they decided it would be fit to delay the game till after the release of a little known side project called Sonic Generations. Fans were heartbroken. The biggest and most ambitious effort of Sonic Team, a game that was said to have such a huge and expanded budget, delayed for some literal Who game called Generations? Would we ever find out what these new zones with things we never saw before would be? It seemed bleak for the 5 Sonic 4 fans. That would be till the first inkling of indirect news would be dropped. That being a brand new remaster of Sonic CD. That was announced on October 16th of 2011, being released in the holiday season of 2011. While you may be like, okay, what does that have to do with Sonic 4? Well, CD was actually marketed as a prequel to Sonic 4 Episode 2, or at least the remaster was. Even to the point that in the CD remaster debut trailer, it starts off with the cursed Sonic 4 running animation before switching to 2D. Atop this, SEGA even stated the events of Sonic 4 Episode 2 would be heavily intertwined with the fallout of CD. Once the little kids' playtime was over, it was time for the real men to play. Sonic 4 fans would finally get their feast, as new information would flood in on December 28th, 2011. The official announcement trailer of Sonic 4 Episode 2 was released, showing the return of Metal Sonic as the main baddie, and the rumors of Tails as a playable character ended up being confirmed with the hint at Sonic 4 Episode 2's team-up mechanic. Granted, we wouldn't get the official gameplay trailer till April 6th of 2012. In the meantime, Iizuka and co were adamantly claiming they heard the fans and worked really hard on making both a brand new graphics and physics engine for the game. People were quite hyped, and honestly, it looked pretty compelling. The game graphically was very pretty, the physics overall looked a lot more natural, and the new team-up mechanic with Tails was an interesting revisit of Sonic Advance 3's system. Sonic 4 Episode 2's Oiled Desert was also showcased, being indicative that this game's locations would be wholly original, with of course nods to the prior games. The trailer also showed a release date of May 15th to July, depending on the platform, with even devices like the Windows 7 phone and the hit console the Ouya getting a release. At the very end, SEGA even threw a bone to fans who tortured themselves throughout Episode 1 with the Episode 1 prequel, Episode Metal, that was unlocked if both episodes were purchased. In short, you basically ran through all of Episode 1's stages in reverse order as Metal Sonic, which sounds really enticing until you realize he's just a reskin of Sonic still in Episode 1's engine. Therefore, you're just playing Episode 1 again, so it's horrible. On January 20th, SEGA would begin dropping concept art of Episode 2 weekly on their blog and Facebook page with what they called Concept Art Friday. This time, no contest attached though. These range from the backgrounds of Sylvania Castle Zone, environmental pieces like this ring shooter on the left from Sky Fortress, or the heckin' epic Sonic 3 reference with the spinning wheel in Winter Park, which in classic Sonic fan fashion, was analyzed out of the ass. They even showed off some of the badniks like Snowy and the Sandworm from Winter Park and Oil Desert. Also, inadvertently confirming there would be more badniks to the game than just Bubbles. My favorite has to be this whiteboard sketch art director Ubakawa drew of the Episode 2 logo though. Anyways, much like its predecessor, the game also leaked out in full before the release date in the form of the Beta 8 build. This leak happened on April 21st, 2012. For people who had the game pre-ordered on the Steam store, they were able to again access a completely playable full build of the game, barring some weird texture failures in Sylvania Castle Zone. While the security hole was fixed the following morning, and the people who had access to it were now locked out of the game, the damage was already done as it began to spread like wildfire. The game would then release on May 15th of 2012 to a pretty lukewarm response, garnering generally 6 out of 10s, which I find odd since the game was considered an improvement on Episode 1, although being rated severely lower than it. The sad part about this is that in March, a month before the launch of the game, Azuka went into the public and announced that they weren't even planning any further episodes with Sonic 4. Talk about dead on arrival. Sonic 4 overall has kind of been sealed away like an ancient evil, never to be spoken of again by fans or SEGA. And when brought up, it just kind of pretended it never existed. The only real information we ever got about the game post-release was in 2015, when Ken Bowlow said that there was in fact an Episode 3 planned, but would not deluge the details on what that would have entailed. Except Christian Whitehead, the lead behind Sonic Mania and the 1, 2, and CD mobile remasters, said that he was approached to work on the game at SEGA Studios Australia, but the studio ended up closing, thus fully ending the tale of Sonic 4 and forever being left with this really weird cliffhanger. Sonic 4, an enigma of a game. Still, fans were left with a lot of questions. What ifs run wild, but also evenly countered whys. Personally, Episode 1 is my least favorite Sonic game of all time, not only because it fucking sucks, but also because what it represents as a soulless cash grab to take advantage of longtime fans. Luckily, Sonic Mania would be the true successor to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but the question will forever linger. What would have happened if Episode 3 came out? Would it have been good? With Whitehead working on it, would a Sonic Mania ever even exist? And with that, I'll leave you with those questions, for a timeline we will never have the answer to. Hey guys, if you made it this far in the video, thanks so much for watching. A while back, I challenged the members of my Discord to make the most horrific, abhorrent, shitty, or just flat out surreal version of either the Sonic 4 Episode 1 or 2 logo for fun, and they'd all be showcased in the video along with their preferred social media handle, with the top 3 of course getting an extra special shout out. I figured this would be a fun way to use my platform to show off everyone's artistic skills. I'd like to thank everyone who participated and submitted for the contest. Everyone's art was incredibly killer, and I was also blown away with the amount of submissions we got too. Now let us begin. Coming in at number 3, it's gotta go to Little Studio Planet's version of the logo. I just love how like Sonic looks like he's like half drunk out of his mind, and he's also going full werehog mode. And Tails is just like, oh god, Jesus, please help me. Also, I can't forget to mention the classic Sonic ring meme and that beauty in the top right. Great job, Little Studio Planet. Now for second place. It has to go to Star Ally 64 with his truly horrific design of like Demon Sonic holding the decapitated eye gouged out heads of Knuckles and Tails. I mean, it's like a demon beast Sonic thing. I freaking love it, man. Like, Sonic's fingers also are like really creepy to me because they look like those like spider legs you see on like a tarantula or something, you know? It just makes it flat out like really gross to me because I hate spiders. This seriously just gives me some like creepypasta vibes also. Everything from Sonic's tongue, face, eyes, and all just gives me the creeps. Excellent work. And finally, last but certainly not least, first place goes to OArt with this nightmare fuel rendition of the episode 2 logo. It gives me like those Courage the Cowardly Dog vibes, you know? But still, even the bony limbs of Sonic and Tails trying to escape the nostalgic void behind him. Then the whole thing with like Sonic's tongue impaling his eye, it's just like, Jesus, man, it's like... Also, I love the subtitle too, The Nostalgia Pate. This picture for me strikes that perfect balance of like uncanny and creepy that just makes it like really uncomfortable and like freaky to even look at. Fantastic job, OArt. Thanks again to everyone who participated, as all of the submissions were incredible. Now, before we get started on the gallery, I do want to mention that I used a random number generator for the display order. But anyways, now let's roll the gallery.